You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
From an old classic, we bring you the finale here to the 2024 Icon Holiday Mixer Series. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway, just outside the city of Hotlanta in Macon County, Georgia. As Dave Regal and Colin McDonough are with you here in the broadcast booth, ready to bring you all of the action here for the Icon Holiday Mixer Series finale. Right now, the drivers are in warm-up, and I'll tell you what, Colin, things are getting hotter. So stick with us through it all, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. Colin, it has been quite a holiday season. Glad to have you in, and happy holidays, buddy. We're ready to turn the calendar page for a change.
Dave, thank you for having me tonight. It's been quite the holiday season, and things are certainly heating up on track. I'm looking forward to seeing an awesome race once again from the Icon League.
Yeah, we've got a lot of drivers that are out here that at least a couple of them are very familiar to me. And then, of course, there's those of you who are tuning in and, seeing these guys for the first time. The interesting thing to keep in mind is that each of these, race configurations that we've had over this season has been different every week. I mean, these drivers have had to make sure that they understand the, let's just say the disciplines of each and every car on the Iracing series, at least at the Cup level. I mean, we've gone from, of course, the 87 Cup car at Old Daytona to the Gen 4 Cup car at Chicagoland. The car of tomorrow was at Michigan. We had the most recent old generation of Cup car at Dover last week. And, of course, this week, now we turn our attention to a new, the new next gen with the old Atlanta. So it makes things, to me at least, for my money, really exciting to see some of these cars mixed together. The 87 Cup car, of course, made its name at what's now known as Legacy Daytona. Of course, that's where we got to see Darrell Waltrip do the Icky Shuffle back in 1989. And the Gen 4 Cup car made history at Chicagoland when we were still going to the Midwest. The car of tomorrow is what Dale Jr. was able to make his name with at Michigan. The Gen 6 Cup car is what Jimmy Johnson had won all of those races in a row at Dover with. And so this is something that hasn't really been tested yet, the next gen at Old Atlanta.
Yeah, Dave, this is a slick track. Fortunately, they've got some reasonable weather on hand. It shouldn't be too hot. But this car and this track, I don't know what to expect tonight.
I can tell you this much. What you can expect is some of the greatest racing on the iRacing service. I mean, when I get to see guys like Paul Crumry, who, of course, many of you know from the Western States Racing League, which, of course, I used to anchor alongside my brother from another mother, Mr. Tony Trapasso, who has since passed along but and left this world. However, Paul Crumry from Grand Rapids, Minnesota, he was one of the first drivers that I got a chance to speak with and get to know in that league, as well as Jeff Hollingsworth here in the number 97, Coast Guard Chevrolet. And Tony and I spent hundreds of hours and thousands of laps watching these two guys go at it. So I'm excited to get to see them duke it out tonight. As drivers are starting to slide into those race cars for the night, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, for making us a part of your evening. We want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. As we get ready to go trackside, we want to take one quick look here. 65 degrees the outside ambient air temperature and 70 degrees that track temperature. You and I talked about that for a minute, Colin, and that's grippy.
It is very grippy. These cars being not on this track generally, the old Atlanta surface, it must be a handful, but fortunately it's not baking in the sun.
Correct. You don't want to be baking and making, that's for sure. That's what they say down here in Atlanta. Just kidding. I have no idea what they actually say. But Braxton DeWeese, he's going to be our pole sitter tonight, and he's going to be joined on the front row by Ray Lane. Jeff Hollingsworth, who I had just mentioned a moment ago from the Western States Racing League, he's going to be on the inside of row number 2 alongside of Jacob Smith, a part-time driver here in the series. Brian Smith going to be on the inside of row number 3 alongside Charles Woods, while Adam Ball and Paul Crumry, again from the Western States Racing League, he's going to be here in row number 4. Row 5 features Cody Neal and Ryan Patty, while Hanover Fist and Cody Eldred are going to be featured in row number 6. Row 7 going to be Sean Tower and Patrick Colby, And starting shotgun on the field is Kyle Diaz here. Somebody's got to do it, and as he rolls off in the Fruity Pebbles machine, he's got to do a little bit of scrambling here to catch up with, of course, the rest of the pack. As we're ready to go 133 miles here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And quite frankly, man, things are just getting interesting here as we are at finale week, folks, here in the Icon Holiday Mixer Series.
Hate to make a correction, Dave. I believe it's 133 laps tonight, not
Didn't I
miles.
say that?
Because this is a 1.54 mile track.
So it was, I'm sorry, I said laps, or I said miles when I should have said laps. Well, here's the thing. Whether it's laps or miles, it's a long way here as the iRacing.com pace car comes on down and brings the drivers into the turn 3 and 4 complex. And that means, folks, the only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab your sunscreen, your honey buns, and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime! Green flag in the air, and off we go down into turn number 1. As so far, so good. Good start here coming out of turn number 2 and down the backstretch. Ray Lane and Braxton DeWeese decide that they're going to go side by side into turn 3 now, as Ray Lane takes the lead from Braxton DeWeese in that Interstate Ford number 08 Mustang.
Ray Lane off to an awesome start right now. Further back, things look like they are settling in, a little bit of shuffling for position. But it looks like everybody wants to get strung out single file pretty quick here.
Yeah, at a place like this, even on a good day, Atlanta is the kind of place where you really need to go single file. You need to try to get yourselves stretched out and give some room because, we were talking about it earlier. This transition here as we go on board with Adam Ball, this transition into turn 1 off of the front straightaway is vicious. And if you don't hold a pretty wheel, bad things are going to happen to you. As, we've seen so many times as Adam Ball here in the 19 holding a pretty wheel so far. Of course, those tires just coming up to temperature here on lap number 3.
You mentioned going into turn 1, but also coming off of turn 4, getting into the trioval. There is that little sweet spot that'll kind of upset the car if you're not quick on the wheel.
Yeah, fast reflexes are what wins races here as Jeff Hollingsworth here in the number 97 Coast Guard machine climbs into the lead. He's going to now be the Pied Piper of Atlanta Motor Speedway for the time being as he starts to gap Ray Lane by 0.3 of a second.
He put down a blistering lap at 30.06 while the rest of the field is looking like 30.4 is race pace at the moment. So Jeff Hollingsworth kind of came out of nowhere to get through Braxton DeWeese and Ray Lane. And I guess track position is going to be Jeff's best friend right now, as Braxton DeWeese and Ray Lane are just clicking off lap times almost identical to one another.
That's the thing. Now, we saw that a couple of weeks ago in this very league where, you get those two right drivers in these setups, and keep in mind that this is a fixed setup, so a lot of these drivers, or I shouldn't say a lot, but all of these drivers, this really comes down to driver skill. This isn't, just your average walk in the park. These guys, they're out here competing against each other, not a chassis, not an adjustment, not a setup shop.
Yeah, that is the tricky thing with fixed setups, is you don't get to adjust the car to your driving style. You must adjust your driving style to the way the car is.
And that's something that, for somebody like me, that kind of always gave me a little bit of an edge because it forced me to learn a different way to drive, if you will. Plus, for some people, because it wasn't their style per se, it kind of slowed them down just enough to make me a little bit more competitive as a driver.
Yeah, I personally find myself, if a fixed setup is not, catered towards my driving style or easy for me to adapt to, I really struggle with it.
Yeah, for some of these, you see a couple of guys that, hey, listen, they like something that's a little bit more loose. Some guys like it a little tighter, and other guys like it more neutral. So if you're somebody who likes it loose, and now you've got all of a sudden got a tight setup, you've got to make that adjustment. So sometimes you just wind up, rolling the dice and hitting the field. As right now, the 96 of Paul Crumry, two WSRL veterans now leading the way. Ray Lane tries to split Hollingsworth and Crumry. And Paul and Jeff now have Ray Lane between the two of them here in the 41. Braxton DeWeese running in fourth. He's got his hands full trying to hold off Jacob Smith and Brian Smith, as Brian Smith in that WWF, and not that kind of WWF, Toyota Camry, they're trying to chase down DeWeese, and it almost looks like they're working together, maybe to do a little bit of light drafting to get up there to the rear bumper. We want to thank Chris DeWeese for checking in. Happy holidays to all, cheering on the 08 of Braxton DeWeese. Doug Middledorf does the same thing. And, of course, for those of you who are fans of Monday Night NASCAR and Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series and Xfinity Series action, Mama Mac checking in over on the Facebook feed here for Sim Racing Media as she's in. Mama Mac, we love you. Merry Christmas from here in just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mama Mac and I both having some broken hearts today, as her and I are Cowboys fans, and her son, who, of course, it's funny. Mike McConville, driver of the one car in SNN, he is a vicious Eagles fan, as is my better half sitting over here. And now, of course, they're sitting here ribbing us, that is, as the Cowboys lost to the Eagles today 41-7. And side by side goes Ray Lane and Paul Crumry, drag racing through the quad oval down into turn number one. Ray Lane going to overtake Crumry as we take a look back here. We're going to see if we can take a look back. There it is. Out of Rutherfordton, North Carolina. That almost sounds like Winchesterton Fieldville.
No, Dave, looking at lap times, it seems like the pace is, pretty steady from when they started the race until now. I wonder if the track's getting rubbered in a little bit more, and, these cars don't seem to be falling off too much.
No, and again, one of the things that will always, the cream sort of rises to the top, so to speak, in these fixed setup situations is, of course, because they're all the same chassis adjustments. That means these tires are going to wear almost exactly the same, depending on who's paying attention and who's driving the car. Right now we look here to Jacob Smith in the 21. He's got Adam Ball to the rear, and he's just about to get around Braxton DeWeese as he goes to the high side. If these drivers are running similar lap times, like you're saying, that also means that those tires are going to wear at similar rates.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if Jeff Hollingsworth took a little bit too much out of those tires early on. Paul Crumry made a phenomenal job working his way to the front, up 6 spots.
I'm telling you right now, Hollingsworth is a battle horse. He's going to hang out here. He'll be just in this neck of the woods. He and Crumry, they're patient drivers. They're going to let Ray Lane beat the heck out of his equipment just to stay ahead of him, and then they're going to pounce like a lion in the Serengeti. As we watch Hanover Fist and Ryan Patty exchanging positions back here deeper in the field, we see the 30 of Patty take the high line, and he's got the Hanover Fist car in the number 69 Chevrolet just below him. He goes on that low side, and all of a sudden, it seems like Patty has found out that there's a little bit of speed locked up here on the high line.
Yeah, I have seen cars getting a really good drive off of the high line. Really able to hold momentum through the corner.
Hey, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it well. As we're going to go on board here. There we go. That's Kyle Diaz here in the 26. Sean Dower running way off the pace, 2 seconds behind the the P14 driver here, Kyle Diaz. Marshmallow Fruity Pebbles, I'm a fan. But Diaz gets to watch that battle between Eldred and Fist, the 32 and the 69. And all of a sudden now that thing has kind of cooled down a little bit. A lot of close racing for being 19 laps of 133 in. Paul Crumry here runs the 96. Nice and tight here as he follows Jeff Hollingsworth in the 97. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, for welcoming us into your homes, on your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Of course, you are watching the Icon Holiday Mixer Series live here on Sim Racing Media. Dave Regal and Colin McDonough with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You always wonder what your favorite broadcasters are doing during the NASCAR off-season, and this is what we do. We watch other things. There's always racing here on iRacing, and I think that's one of the coolest things, Colin, about this simulator. The first thing is you can put almost any combination, car and track together.
Yep.
And not only that, you can do it in the dead of winter if you live in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, or if you want to do it, in the heat of summer in Phoenix, Arizona. The worst two places to be in the worst two times of year, as we watch the 21 of Jacob Smith working just ahead of Paul Crumry now, as he's now going to chase down Brian Smith. Now we look back from Brian Smith's car. There's plenty of space right now between these two drivers, but Jacob Smith has got to be back here salivating, looking at the rear bumper of Brian Smith.
Not to, pull away from that battle, but Patrick Colby's up 6 spots and almost silently. He's just quietly worked his way through everyone.
That's the scary driver out there. Because while while I'm out here, rambling on about all kinds of other things, you're watching Patrick Colby, and you're right, he's up 6 spots, runs in 8th position right now. So basically starting almost dead last back in 14th. And he is just, that is a roll tide kind of way to be here in the well, it says 28 on the side, but we know that to be scored as the 9.
I've noticed a few drivers have some brushes with the wall going into 1 and coming out of 2. And it seems like trying to get as high up to that, corner entry and corner exit as possible could end up costing you.
Ryan Sweeney checking in on the YouTube.com live chat saying, let's go 08. So it looks like Braxton DeWeese has the biggest cheering section right now. Folks, let us know whether you're on watching us on YouTube or Facebook on the SRM pages. Let us know who you're pulling for, what you're watching tonight, as right now Patrick Colby getting ready to work his way around Adam Ball. And to your point, Colin, I mean, he's doing this rather quietly. If you wouldn't have said it, this is almost like you don't want to talk about a no-hitter when a pitcher's throwing a no-hitter. And right now, Patrick Colby is working himself on a perfect game, climbing past, each of these drivers, doing it well, doing it respectfully, and just wearing each of them out.
Yeah, I mean, that's where that consistency really comes into play. If you can just click off the lap times and manage tire wear, you start moving through the field.
Hey, I'm a fan, as right now we're watching the 28 of Colby in kind of a hornet's nest here. He's got the 98 of Charles Woods behind him. He's got to try to get himself up to Paul Crumry in the 96. But between himself and Crumry is the 19 of Adam Ball. So this is getting hairier and hairier now for Colby, who now has 26 laps on these tires.
Yeah, it's getting really dicey, and the last thing you want is that 30 car Ryan Patty to give you a bumper into 3. So everybody's keeping it really clean, but it is some really close racing right now.
And here we are on board with Montgomery's Patrick Colby as he now peeks to the inside of Paul Crumry. He doesn't go down. The question is, what's down there? He's pinned in.
Yeah, they almost put it 3 wide there.
There's the 19 of Adam Ball just peeking into the camera focus.
Adam Ball did a great job of using Paul Crumride as a bit of a pick for Patrick Colby.
Hey, if you're going to do it now. Ryan Patty slides in behind Crumrye now. And if you look out the rear bumper of Crumrye, things are getting hairier than a Grecian restaurant.
Oh, it looks like the battle up front is getting a little bit hotter. Oh my goodness.
It's hard to decide where we're going right now. We've got a three-way battle for the lead. Ray Lane has taken over the lead. He stepped away by about 0.8 of a second. But a three-way battle for second position is Brian Smith, Braxton DeWeese, and Jeff Hollingsworth all going at it now. Hollingsworth slipping back into 5th position. He's trying to maybe line himself up here as we go on board with Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth with the 21 to the high side. That's Jacob Smith. Smith in that classic Wood Brothers number 21 paint scheme. I do love to see that on the old race screen here. And, you know, let's talk about Jeff Hollingsworth for a second now. Of course, for those of you that tune in on the late side here, 10:20 Eastern on a Tuesday on Sim Racing Media, you're catching the Western States Racing League. That's probably where you know Jeff Hollingsworth from. Over the years, and he has had, you know, let's see, I think if I remember correct, Hollingsworth's been racing with the Western States League since 2019. 290 starts. First off, that's incredible.
That's amazing.
You know, it's hard to do that in any league, much less, you know, in a league that's been around as long as Western States. He's got 42 wins over there. 42 wins in the Truck Series. And I mean, again, for those of you that haven't done so, do yourself a favor and take a peek at the Western States Racing League when you have time. It's impressive, and then some. It was the first league I broke in with. I was so desperate to get on the air that, a rub of the wall for Hollingsworth. I think I just gave him the broadcaster's curse. I was so desperate to get on the air that I took the late show and was working until 1 o'clock in the morning those first several months. I was begging to get off of it.
Yeah, this race really has turned into two separate races. 4-car battle for the lead, and then further back, 7 cars are kind of all in it.
Well, and Ray Lane has already opened up that gap now even further. It was just about 0.9 of a second a few moments ago. But now Ray Lane opening it up to 1.2 seconds. I mean, as we look out from his gearbox, he has absolutely nothing to worry about.
Uh-oh.
Trouble. First caution of the night. Waiting to see what caused it. No, this would be the end of the stage. Got me scared for a moment.
I was nervous on that one. So it looks like we'll have stages at the end of lap 33 and the end of lap 36.
You can't have one at the end of lap 36, my friend.
Sorry, 66.
Attaboy.
Oh my goodness.
So Ray Lane brings home the green and white checkered flag at the end of stage number 1 here. So an impressive run for him. He started to step away from the field. I want to see if he's anywhere near. Of course not. He's down in a locked room, so I can't go get him. So we're going to get a chance to talk to another driver here. Taking a look here at Braxton DeWeese. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to watch him. As they all come down pit road, it's going to be Ray Lane. Everybody's going to come down. 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast. Going to be the order for all 15 of these drivers. Nobody is off the pace. That means everybody's on the lead lap. That's a good start here to stage number 1. Ray Lane slides in. Braxton DeWeese overshoots the box. He's got to back up. That's going to cost him a lot of time. The 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth, he's in kind of cockeyed, but he manages to get service completed as they drop the left side down to the 41. The 97's away, and here comes the 78 of Brian Smith. Let's see if we can get a hold of Jeff Hollingsworth. Hey, Jeff, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Didn't know we were being broadcast. How you doing, Dave?
Jeff, it's good. Listen, you're here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, I was just telling the folks at home that I'm used to watching you in the Western States Racing League. You were one of the first drivers that I saw get a win here from the broadcast booth.
Oh, cool.
But that was a couple of years ago as I sat alongside of Tony Trapasso. But here you are at Old Atlanta. How does the new next-gen Cup car fit with Old Atlanta? Is this like a fat foot in a small shoe?
I don't think so. I think it's a lot of fun. I just have to get used to. They have a lower fuel tank, for this race. It's 60% versus I'm used to running a whole full tank. So it is a little bit snug, but it drives really good. Obviously, you can wear the tires out, which is I kind of dropped back after PK got up there with me and was kind of biding my time, but I'm still not as good at saving, I guess, as these guys are. So it feels pretty good, though. It's a little bit tight, a little push loose, but it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I was watching to see was how busy everybody's hands were coming into 1 and 2, because when you go from that front stretch on Old Atlanta, at least, into turn 1, that used to be a pretty violent drop into there, but you guys seem to be holding a pretty wheel.
Yeah, I don't take a low of an entry until it's later in the run. If I try to take the entry, I usually do it. It is going to do that deal where it hits that little lump and bottoms out on you. These cars, they're flat and ride like a skateboard. So.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, listen, good luck on stage 2 here, and maybe we'll see you on the other side. You were down in race chat number 2, if I remember correctly. So we appreciate you, and good luck, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Happy New Year to you, brother.
And to you, man. That, of course, the voice of Jeff Hollingsworth, driver the number 97. Glad to talk to him. Nice guy. Don't want to say nice guys finish last. That'd be awful. Here he goes. The green flag waves again. Brian Smith takes off. Ray Lane in hot pursuit. And Ray Lane almost looks like the schoolyard bully. He's got like 2 lackeys behind him ready to go after and bully Brian Smith here.
And Brian Smith must be stoked to get the jump and get out front.
Yeah, he gets to watch all this battling going on behind him. Here's the 08 and the 97 going after it. DeWeese here on the high side. He was watching a couple other drivers, kind of boogie around his joint on the high side. There's a lot of speed locked up in there, but it's all about, trying to make sure that you can hit those marks and back out when you must. Ooh, contact between the 28 and the 96. That's Paul Crumry and Patrick Colby. I do like this gold paint scheme that Cody Neal has. That's fancy.
That's a pretty sweet look.
You've heard of the man with the golden gun. That's the man with the golden car. Dave Regal and Colin McDonough with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Icon Holiday Mixer Series live on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank you for tuning in on Facebook and YouTube. Whether you're on your home, on your phones, or in your homes, we want to thank you for checking in with us tonight. Let us know what you're watching as Jeff Hollingsworth, we just spoke with him a moment ago, lays fast time down at 30.06 seconds. Oh, my God.
Wow, what a save that was.
Good grief.
Jeff Hollingsworth matched his previous best time with that 30.06.
I want to thank the fine people at Clover Farms for creating such delicious iced tea. What's your opinion on the pre-made iced teas in the world?
I'm a bit of a pure leaf person.
Ew.
Yeah, I hate to admit it.
No, it's fine. I hope you enjoy driving your Prius. Ray Lane just laid down a 30 flat.
Wow. And right up onto the bumper of Brian Smith. That was a tremendous lap.
My God. Everybody starts dancing around like that. Oh, well, Braxton DeWeese just went 30.02. And Smith and Hollingsworth were 30.07. And Ray Lane just blew them out of the water at 30 flat. And here he is side by side for the lead. Oh, good
On the
God.
back.
Oh, Smith gets a run. Ray Lane's going to have to load up and go at him again. He peeks to the high side. Not sure if he's going to be able to get around him. Here he goes, looking maybe to the low side, a drift up of the 78 of Brian Smith. Now Ray Lane matches just behind him. He gets a run here into turn one, almost bumped Brian Smith, and now Jeff Hollingsworth in the mix. Hollingsworth slides the 97 between Ray Lane and Brian Smith as if he was a piece of cheese between two pieces of bread.
Now he's going to go to the high side and see. Whoop. Eat my words.
Hollingsworth looks like he wants to go for the lead here.
He really does. He's got a lot of pace. Now, Hollingsworth clicked off a 30.07. Some of the other drivers, they're seeing 30.2s, and it looks like Hollingsworth is managing his pace a little bit and has been consistent with 30.0, something. Maybe just a little bit better tire management on this second stint. It's like, oh my. Brian Smith, huge run on the bottom side. Gonna bring Ray Lane right back into the picture. Exchanging blows for the lead. Brian Smith, Jeff Hollingsworth, Ray Lane. It looks like Braxton DeWeese on the bottom side trying to get back into this as well. Jeff Hollingsworth still holding his own and fending off Ray Lane as Brian Smith is just beginning to maybe get away. Jeff Hollingsworth reels him back in.
I want to thank the fine people at Facebook for giving me a hard time about creating a poll. Didn't think it was that serious.
A little bit further back in the pack. Once again, this is becoming, two separate races. But Kyle Diaz is back in the picture, up 7 spots. This lead group is, a few seconds up on. I think Paul Crumrye is the lead car of the second group right now.
Folks, over on the YouTube.com live chat, we've opened up a poll. Who will win tonight's race? Is it going to be Jeff Hollingsworth, or is it going to be Braxton DeWeese, two of the strongest drivers here, or will it be anyone else in the field? I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the poll. As looks like so far we've got a pretty good split here. 50% going for DeWeese, 50% going for anybody else. Get in there and get those votes in. And while we wait to see who finishes in first place here at the end of stage number 2, we're going to step aside and pay some bills on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. And of course, making us a part of your holiday traditions here on YouTube.com. I'm Dave Regal, he's Colin McDonough, and this is Sim Racing Media.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Looks like all kinds of mess was going on back here where Cody Neal just got himself all kind of boogered up. You're watching the Icon Holiday Mixer Series live here on Sim Racing Media at Old Atlanta in the Next Gen Cars Night. Dave Regal and Colin McDonough with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, we want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Colin, we've got a barn burner going right now.
We certainly do, Dave. I thought that you might begin to have some cardiac problems with the way things are going back there, 3 wide into turn 2.
I mean, I'll tell you what, as we were getting ready to come back from break, I was almost hoping that we could dump out a break and watch that 3 wide battle that was going on. Patrick Colby and you know, head over fist, Cody Neal, they were all back there dancing around together. Kyle Diaz was part of it, and now all of a sudden, not so much. In fact, it looks like Kyle Diaz may be off track now. Yep. In fact, we're going to go back and see the last thing Kyle Diaz did before disappearing. Seems a little more. There it is. Here comes the 3 wide battle. This is what we were watching just before coming back from commercial. Watch the 26. Oh! I'll do it every time. Let's watch that one more time, maybe. There we go. Here it is in replay. As we're already 5 laps from... Oh. You know what's interesting, though, Colin? Nobody really got too upset. Nobody really got butthurt. And everybody kept moving forward. We're 3 laps to go now here in stage number 2.
I'd chalk that up to a racing incident. You know, that was 3 people trying to occupy almost the same space of real estate. And it just... a little bit of contact goes a long way.
You know what they say, 2 race cars cannot occupy the same space at the same time.
They cannot.
You know, I think the format here in the Icon Series is fabulous. 60% fuel, 60% race, 133 laps, 3 stages. It keeps it moving. It keeps the excitement going. You know, nobody gets into a lull. There's not a whole lot of white or yellow on the board. It's a lot of red and orange for the battle times.
Yeah. Yep. No, you were 100% right about the format here. You know, the stages are in such a way that things get stacked back up. Everybody has the chance to refuel and get fresh rubber and get going again. And then in the final stint, we're going to see green flag pit stops.
Final lap of stage number 2 underway. A pretty good battle for the lead between Brian Smith and Ray Lane. Braxton DeWeese has cooled off to 3rd position. Down the back chute we go. Smith and Lane come into turn number 4, but Lane doesn't have it for Smith this time. There's a little bit too much gap between them. He doesn't have the momentum coming out of 4 into the quad oval. He thought he did, but Brian Smith captures the green and white checkered flag here at the end of stage number 2. He's going to be followed by Ray Lane, Braxton DeWeese, Ryan Patty, Jacob Smith, Jeff Hollingsworth, Paul Crumry, Charles Woods, Adam Bell, and Cody Eldred. Those are your top 10 drivers here at the end of stage number 2. Of course, here I am looking to see if we can get Brian Smith, and of course, he's also in a locked room down here. Yeah, I just realized one of my hotkeys pulls up a widget that I didn't need. Love that for me. Here comes the field down pit road. Brian Smith leading everybody but Kyle Diaz. Of course, Diaz going to get his lap back as the lucky dog here. Brian Smith comes on down. He's got an early pit box. He slides into position. Now we get to see Jeff Hollingsworth, Jacob Smith, and everybody else here. There's Braxton DeWeese up atop the pile. He's going to have almost a perfect, if not better than perfect, pit stop after he had overshot the box last time. And coming off a pit road first, just squirting past DeWeese was Brian Smith, and it looks like Brian Smith is going to be our pit road race winner. Ray Lane comes off 3rd when we restart. Ryan Patty and Jacob Smith will be in 4 and 5. Hollingsworth, Crumry, Adam Bell, Charles Woods, Cody Eldred, and Hanover Fist. They're going to be your top 11.
Big move forward for Ryan Patty. He's up 6 spots now.
I mean, here we are down in the south. He may sing like Sandy Patty. Was that too old?
That may have been too old, Dave.
Gotcha.
You're
Well, folks, tune in for more outdated musical knowledge from Uncle Dave.
I gotta give you credit for keeping, polka alive, as well as other outdated
Hey, there's nothing outdated about polka music. In fact, you can tune in every Sunday from 9 to noon on 105.5 WMGH and on the 105.5 WMGH app to Polka Joe and the Magic Polka Machine, live from Lansford, Pennsylvania. Polka is not dead.
I didn't say polka was dead.
It wasn't dying either.
It's just an acquired taste.
Yeah, it's like gin.
Something like that.
Yeah, you can get intoxicated by it if you can get past the taste.
Well
Polka
played.
music comes around every few years when Weird Al cuts something new and they talk about Weird Al's dad. And because Frank Yankovic and his Yanks were based out of Scranton, of course, a big polka band, if you will. And I always feel like it's that scene from Monty Python. I'm not dead yet. In fact, I think I'll go for a walk. Lap number 69, it'll be 70 when we go green. The iRacing.com pace car peels on down pit road. Brian Smith and Braxton Louise hit the Geico restart zone, and we're back underway. Brian Smith with a good jump over DeWeese. Gets Ray Lane in tow, and watch the 21 of Jacob Smith shoving the 41 into turn 1 and 2 and out. Oh, God!
Oh!
Backstretch. Bit by
Save
the
it,
cold
save
tire
it.
bug is Brian Smith.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see what happened to Brian Smith here as we quick go to the instant replay from our eye in the sky. He just gets caught by that cold tire bug coming out of 2, loosens himself up, but he keeps it moving forward, and we stay green flag racing here. Talk about a blessing in disguise.
Great job to lock that down and not come back up the racetrack. It's so easy to do in these cars.
My dumb behind would have been all over the place. I'd have taken out 6 cars if I was alone. 72 laps in the books, and here is currently your pole leader. I believe that he's still your pole leader. Let's check it here on YouTube.com. Yep. Braxton DeWeese with 50% of the vote. After 8 votes, there's 117 people who have checked in tonight. Maybe a couple could. The Allen experience just shot Jimmy Sturr right up my nose. But anyway, for our poll question, who will win tonight's race? Jeff Hollingsworth with 12% of the vote, Braxton DeWeese with 50% of the vote, and anyone else is 38%. So, folks, keep those votes coming. We'll keep that open until about 5 to go. And then we'll have to keep an eye on what really happens here as we are now 50 to go. Sorry, 60. I can math.
Ryan Patty clicked off his best lap time in the race, 30.11, as he's moved up 7 spots and has done a great job managing pace and sticking with it. A lot of those 30.06, 30.01 for Braxton DeWeese. That's his personal best.
I mean, these drivers are all out here. It's almost like they found their groove, and now it's a matter of trying to replicate that time and time again. Jacob Smith running on the high side. He's got the 41 of Ray Lane to the low. Ray Lane trying to get an advantage here. But right now, that Wood Brothers number 21 Ford Motorcraft Mustang. Oh! Gets hooked by the
Oh, no.
one. Oh, they got a sideways caution flag in the air. A battle was raging. They couldn't keep it safe. Oh, that hurts my insides just thinking about it. Here we go. The 21 just crossed, it came down just a little bit too soon. The spotter might even have called it. You know, your spotter, with a distance like that, he may very well have even called that. Maybe clear.
It was so close.
Here comes another look at it. And there they go, hooking and dancing. Oh! Just coming to a peaceful rest, I guess you could call it. I mean, to be fair, folks, this is the first First wreck we've had all night. Something we don't see very often in this league. So forgive us if we get a little excited when it does happen. But while these drivers get themselves reset and racked and stacked all over again, we're going to step aside and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media. As, of course, right now the nose of Ray Lane getting repaired on pit road. Braxton DeWeese going to sit just behind the iRacing.com pace car. I'm Dave Regal, he is Colin McDonough, and this is Sim Racing Media.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Trish on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
No back into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Apromitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Braxton DeWeese has become the Pied Piper of Macon County. Dave Regal and Colin McDonough with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You're watching the Icon Holiday Mixer Series live on Sim Racing Media. We want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, on your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. As, of course, we are live on Facebook and YouTube.com. Colin, what a night that it's been. As we come back from break, a little bit of a poll question here, and we've now got a little tie. 44% of our viewers say Braxton DeWeese. 44% of our viewers say anyone else, and only 11% of our viewers say Jeff Hollingsworth can win this race tonight. What say you, my friend? And unless you already voted, don't tell me.
I've really been liking Ryan Patty's movement as well as Patrick Colby. They've done a really great job working through the field. Unfortunately, some front runners like Ray Lane and Jacob Smith and Cody Neal are sitting on pit road getting repairs done. Patrick Colby slots into the number 2 spot. Oh, Brian Smith goes purple, 29.93. Oh, it's a little brush with the wall further back. That caution really shook things up. Yeah, this whole field has really shifted around.
Yeah, we saw for a long time, you know, kind of we saw Ray Lane up atop the pile. We had the 78 of Brian Smith up atop the pile, but now Braxton DeWeese has regained his lead. He hasn't had it since the drop of the initial green flag, and now we're here on lap number 84, and he's got Patrick Colby and Ryan Patty in tow. 1, 2, 3 they go. Jeff Hollingsworth and Cody Eldred round out your top 5. Brian Smith, Paul Krumrye, Charles Woods, Adam Ball, and Hanover Fist, your top 10.
Yeah, this is really anybody's game. They still have to make a pit stop. If I'm not mistaken, they will not make it the rest of the way on fuel.
Nope, they are just outside the pit window. As we're drag racing here, coming out of turn 4 into the quad oval, the 08 of DeWeese trying to hold his own over the 28 of Patrick Colby. Colby saying, roll tide, bringing along the 30 of Ryan Patty. Patty trying to make this a 3-way battle for the lead now as he looks on from behind.
Oh.
Contact between the 28 and the 08. All of a sudden, Ryan Patty looking once again. We start to go on board here in the Icon machine. Now there's a smart driver. He made sure to get the Icon logo right on the hood, on the roof where the camera lays. And here he gets to watch this again, side by side. Boston, Massachusetts' very own Ryan Patty. Bet you he never has a problem connecting to the server.
It's an awesome 3-way battle going on, and I think that, you know, Brian Smith and Jeff Hollingsworth are probably just hanging back a little bit and, whoop, maybe not, and hoping that things get a little bit too spicy to handle up front. Brian Smith wants in on the action. He's going to secure that 3rd spot.
89 laps in the books here at the line. Braxton DeWeese leading the way. His cheering section over in the YouTube.com live chat has got to be hopping by now. Chris DeWeese saying, so Braxton has 49 wins in the year right now. His goal is to get 50. Well, he's only got a little bit of a couple of days left here before hitting the end of the year. Really, he's got tomorrow and Tuesday. If you start a race at 11 on Tuesday and it doesn't end until 12:05, would you consider that being the 50th win for the year?
I feel like I would have to, because you wouldn't have a result for the start that you had in the prior year if you didn't, you know, consider that in that calendar year.
Braxton,
You have a start with no result.
fair point. Braxton just got pushed over the edge here and has now taken a lead of 10%, 10 points over the field.
Oh my goodness. Ryan Patty and Brian Smith just casually and comfortably rubbing doors.
Like how, you know what? I wasn't watching. I was looking over at the at our chat here.
It was as though nothing happened, Dave.
Ah.
They
So
they
realistically,
just leaned on
nothing
each
may
other.
happen.
They leaned on each other and everything was fine.
That's so nice of them.
It was great. Very friendly.
So nice of them.
Patrick Colby's all over the bumper of Braxton Deweese.
I mean, right now they're
On the
side by
inside.
side. Watch Colby. Deweese trying to notch win number 50. Oh my, we're having some fun now.
Oh, no!
No!
How the heck did Braxton Deweese save that? Oh my goodness.
Oh my, this has now opened up a 3-wide situation with Deweese. Oh, Deweese is driving frustrated.
Oh,
That young
my
man has got to be
goodness.
more frustrated than a Keebler Elf getting demoted to Fudge Packer. I'll tell you that right now.
That was what an incredible save. Yeah, you can be frustrated, frustrated that your momentum got totally drained, but to keep it going in the right direction was incredible.
Yeah, let's take a look at this in the replay. Oh, you know what's wild? It almost looked a little bit like I almost said Netflix. Obviously, we can all tell where our brains are. Let's look at this just a little closer. I don't know if they... now they made contact. Pilot to co-pilot, contact.
Yeah,
I used
that
to
could have been a much worse incident.
By the way, that's the phrase I used to use to get my buddy to get my cigarette lighter in my old Jeep back in the day. I'd say pilot to co-pilot, and he would push it in. It was just our thing. You see, kids, once upon a time, you used to be able to have a cigarette lighter in your Jeep or in your vehicle. Period. That's what those plugs used to be for in the car.
Well, you see, Dave, with the dawn of technology that we had, everybody wanted to charge devices instead of light cigarettes, and it was cheaper for the manufacturers to not include that cigarette lighter.
You know what? I guess charging my iPhone isn't nearly as deadly as lighting a cancer stick at the end of my mouth.
No, not at all. And if you wanted a cigarette lighter, Dave, I'm sure that they are available still. And
Do you
they
think
pop
this is
out
like a...
just the same?
Did we just do an unintentional public service announcement? Kids don't smoke? Don't go out there and smoke?
Maybe.
I feel like we just did something helpful. It's healthier to play with your phone while driving than smoke a cigarette.
I will disagree. Healthier
That's
for
not
you,
where we were
yes.
going then?
It might not be healthier for those around you. Don't drive distracted and don't smoke. Those should be the takeaways on this.
Well, kids, for more lifetime extending qualities and tips, tune in with Colin McDonough every Sunday night here on Sim Racing Media. He'll give you more tips to stay alive longer. However, you can always have yourself a tasty cake and a cup of coffee with me on a Monday morning. We'll be getting an apple fritter and a honey bun tomorrow.
Dave, that sounds awesome.
It's delicious. The honey bun, well, here's the thing. I generally prefer my honey buns at night.
Okay.
But an apple fritter with a cup of Colombian coffee black at Wawa is heavenly. And I drink my coffee black like, a man.
That's an awesome combination. Their apple fritter is really top tier.
It really is. We're going to end tonight's race poll. Of course, we all think that it's going to be Braxton. Except for apparently 10% of folks that think that it's going to be Jeff Hollingsworth, and 40% that say it'll be anybody else.
What a turn of events to see Brian Smith back at the front of this. If I recall correctly, Brian Smith on that restart was the one who had a big slide and kept it under control.
We have the final results in from our last poll on YouTube.com. Who will win tonight's race? We've got 50% for Braxton Deweese, 40% for the field, and 10% for Jeff Hollingsworth. Our new poll that's up is, which breakfast pastry is your favorite? Honey bun, apple fritter, or something else?
As Patrick Colby is exiting pit road and Ryan Patty is into pit road, our green flag pit stops are underway.
They're underway. This will be the money stop as Ryan Patty getting full service here on the 30 machine. Patrick Colby getting himself back up to speed. Brian Smith last came down on lap number 76. Braxton Deweese has decided he's going to dive down pit road and get service. The question is, do you take the time and get all 4 tires? If you need a full tank of fuel, you might as well get 4 tires. That's about the timing exchange there.
Yeah, I think at Old Atlanta, I'd be really worried going out on 2 tires. That's just going to be too loose.
Folks, check out our new poll over on YouTube.com. Which is your favorite breakfast pastry, honey bun or apple fritter? Braxton Deweese getting service now. The left side goes up on the car. Brian Smith cycles to the race lead. He hasn't been down since lap number 76, as well as Adam Ball, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Charles Woods. Paul Crumride brings the AMSOIL number 96 past Pro Shops Toyota Camry down. He's going to slide into the box just ahead of the 4 machine.
Hanover Fist in the 69 car is also down pit road.
We appreciate everybody tuning in, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. We thank all of you for checking in with us tonight. Of course, we'd also like to see some... we've got another vote here in our breakfast pastry questionnaire.
Patrick Colby, that's his personal best lap of a 30.02 on some fresh tires and a full tank of fuel. About 9 laps time, we're going to see Brian Smith, Adam Ball, Jeff Hollingsworth, and Charles Woods come down pit road. Oh,
and here comes Brian Smith and Jeff Hollingsworth side by side. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Brian Smith here in the 78 WWF Toyota Camry. He's going to be just ahead of Jeff Hollingsworth, who comes down in his Chevrolet Camaro. That's going to leave Adam Ball here atop the pile with Charles Woods, a part-time driver in the 98. Oh my, we're having some fun now. Ray Lane, the only driver not to come down at all this pit cycle just yet, as here comes Woods.
Ray Lane, I believe, has parked the car.
It sure looks like it. That's a shame.
That was during that earlier incident with the wall.
Nobody likes getting a face full of wall.
Nope.
Adam Ball and Charles Woods down pit road, but Ryan Patty is now rocketing around the racetrack. He's got to see if he can get around before Charles Woods finishes pit service. Ryan Patty coming through the quad oval. Looks like Woods and Ball aren't going to beat him around, as here comes Ryan Patty and Braxton Deweese now trailing Patty by 1.87 seconds as they haul it down the back chute. Now nearly 2 seconds between Patty and Deweese. I didn't have this on my bingo card, Colin.
You know, Dave, Ryan Patty was looking good all race long. Just quietly working his way through the field. Oh, Braxton Deweese catches the apron and has a bit of a moment.
Just a bit of a moment, not the end of the world, but now all of a sudden what this has done is it has really spread out the field. I mean, this field is spread like crazy. I mean, there's nothing. There's only one red mark on here, and that's between Cody Eldred and Brian Smith. They're separated by 0.3 of a second. That's slowly going orange. Then, of course, there's 0.8 of a second between Charles Woods and Hanover Fist. Everything else is white and quiet.
Dave, I love myself some green flag pit stops because going into it, you really never know what's going to come out the other side.
You never know.
Ryan Patty, just phenomenal work to come out on front.
Phenomenal. Folks, keep an eye over on our YouTube.com live chat. Of course, we still have that poll question. Which breakfast pastry is your favorite? Gotta know, folks. Honey bun, apple fritter, or something else? I feel like to qualify as a pastry, it also has to have sugar in it. Like, you can't say, a croissant is a pastry because, unless it's like a cronut, it's not a pastry.
Doesn't pastry just have to be flaky and doughy?
No.
Okay, all right.
The English muffin, not a pastry.
Ah, sure.
But the regular muffin is a pastry.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. A muffin is a muffin. A muffin is not a pastry.
But doesn't that mean that a donut wouldn't be a pastry? That a donut is a donut, not a pastry?
A
Using
donut
your
is a
logic.
donut, Dave. A donut is a donut. And I'm all about donuts.
I literally have based my entire diet off of them. In fact, thanks to the donut, it's probably going to drive me to an early grave missing a limb or two.
Brian Smith and Jeff Hollingsworth are clicking off some 30.13 and 30.19 laps, respectively. They came down on lap 107. Charles Woods came down on lap 108. They might be carrying a little bit less fuel or had shorter pit stops.
Well, if you remember from our interview earlier with Jeff Hollingsworth, Colin, he said, hey, listen, he's got to get used to the lighter fuel load. But once you get below where you need the full 60% that these drivers start with, you're playing the regular guessing game with fuel.
Yep.
30% is 30%. It's not 30% minus 60. It's 30%. So if you get to the point where you're like, hey, listen, I don't need the full 60. I only really need 30. Everybody else is going to take 60 because they're not doing that math in their head. Which, let me just say that for these drivers that play this game, in the simulator, and by game, I mean, the math game. How many laps do I have left? How much fuel do I need? Do I need to plan for a green-white checker? And by the way, tonight that doesn't look like it's going to be happening. But, do I need to calculate for something else, some kind of other variable? Usually in the real world, there's a guy on top of the pit box, and he's got a laptop and a calculator and 6 other people doing calculations for him. These guys are doing it while they're actively racing in their rigs. Some of them aren't even wearing pants. Some of them are just in gym shorts.
Yeah, the math game is real. It must be nice to have a spotter that can look at that information for you and kind of give you some guidance. But in iRacing we have the black boxes where we have to cycle through them and decide how many tires do we want to take and how much fuel do we want. Do we want to rip off the windshield tear off or leave it on and save, I don't know, however much time that saves.
Yeah, and like I say, and time again, in the real world, and I've talked to a lot of real world drivers here that use the sim. Most recently, I was talking with Parker Retzloff on Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series action here on Sim Racing Media. And I think I probably asked Parker at least half a dozen times this season, hey, how do you translate the real world to the sim or the sim back to the real world? Because Parker would go out and maybe finish 32nd at Pocono and all of a sudden come and waffle stomp everybody in the sim. And he said, look, he goes, a lot of it is patience. In the real world, patience runs a lot more thin than it does when you're wearing, slippers and gym shorts.
That does make a whole lot of sense.
Especially when your paycheck's on the line. I got a chance, though, to talk with Parker a lot this season as he was very successful in that league. And what a cool dude. just really upstanding guy. I mean, loves to talk sim racing, loves to just hang out with the guys. And to me, I feel like that's probably what makes people the most likable, so to speak. You know, when you're a celebrity of any level, you know, when you're, how would I explain it? When you're someone famous and you're not really, you know, hanging out per se with the average folk like you and I, that means a lot that somebody is out there doing something for you.
Yeah, it is a cool thing. I know that T-Pain had a lot of credit for getting into drifting and getting a lot of help from the average individual that was into sim racing, setting up his sim rig.
Yep.
So it's always cool when, you know, you've got those people of a certain fame, you know, hanging out with you, the normal folk.
Yeah, to me, it's just a lot of fun. Taking a look at our point standings as we're 11 laps to go. Brian Smith came into the night with the points lead. We didn't really talk about points at all tonight, so we want to quick give everybody an update. Brian Smith came in with an 8-point lead over Jacob Smith. Now, Jacob Smith is laps down. In fact, he's not returning any laps right now whatsoever. We look at Nathan Finnegan. He's third right now. He's not out here. Neither is Sean Purcell, Kevin Gunther. In fact, the next driver that would be eligible to run at tonight's championship would be Adam Ball.
Oh, Dave, don't look now, but Braxton DeWeese is really closing in on Ryan Patty.
I do see that. Of course, those points are not accurate. They're not marked up to what they should be. So that could be completely different, and I could be completely full of malarkey.
Looks like Braxton DeWeese has taken out about 1/10 per lap on Ryan Patty, which at that rate...
He'll have him in 2 laps.
Yeah, this is going to get really interesting.
Braxton DeWeese looking for win number 50 for 2024. Hangs out just behind Ryan Patty. Ryan Patty with 0.2 of a second lead. He has held that 0.19, 0.18 second lead, but all of a sudden coming through the quad oval, DeWeese starts to make some hay. He's down to an even 1/10 of a second. So by your math, Colin, you're going to be just about perfect. But he loses him coming through 1 and 2. DeWeese not able to slam the door on or pull the door open on Ryan Patty, as Patty's trying to keep him out like a raccoon on the back porch, trying to get into the trash.
This Brian Smith is clicking off some really fast times. 29.93. Brian Smith is going to get in the mix before the end of the race.
Ronnie Miller, we are on the leaders.
So Braxton DeWeese is about 1/10 per lap quicker than Ryan Patty. Brian Smith is about 0.2 per lap quicker than Ryan Patty. This could really be exciting in 3 laps' time.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's starting to march in there. The distance is now extended to 0.3 of a second. Braxton seems to reel him in, and then it's almost like a fish that he's trying not to break the line on. And the question becomes, is he trying not to do that, or is this something that's just accidentally happening?
I also wonder how important the draft is going down the backstretch. How much of a run do you get into turn 3 and 4?
Not enough.
Yeah.
In fact, it seems like DeWeese is losing a little bit of ground on Patty, coming out of 2 and down the back chute, but gains on him. It's almost like he's cutting a corner somewhere in the quad oval. We'll have to take a look in just a moment. Ryan Patty with a connection issue. Or is that Braxton DeWeese? Somebody with a connection issue. This is not the time you want that to happen. Here comes the 78 of Brian Smith. Oh, no. Brian Smith looks to the inside of the 08 here in the waning laps of the finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Brian Smith just serves up lunch to Braxton DeWeese. Now he's got 4 laps to try to cover 0.75 of a second distance.
Oh, my.
Oh, Oh! They exchanged paint. 08. Wow, that was a questionable move.
Yeah,
Let's
not
take a
sure
look
how
at
to feel about
this.
that.
They get rights. Oh, the 78 came down on the 08. That's not a bumper car, sir. That's a stock car. Chris DeWeese is tighter. I mean, Braxton DeWeese is tighter than a snare drum right now. 2 laps to go. The popsicle sticks are in the air. The 78 gets a run down the back chute. Here he goes, Brian Smith. What this is allowing, though, is Ryan Patty to step away from the rest of the field. Last chance before anybody, for the caution flag to fly and trigger NASCAR overtime.
Ryan
That would be
Patty
the only way
checked
that
out
they would
in
have a
2
run at the
seconds.
lead at this point. Braxton DeWeese and Brian Smith, this is going to be the story of the latter part of the race. Here they come into turn number 1. The popsicle sticks go down. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers. Brian Smith now runs the high side. Braxton DeWeese underneath. We're trying to see who it's going to be. Nearly making contact going into turn number 3. Ryan Patty has stepped away from the field. He's going to capture the checkered flag with relative ease, barring a catastrophe. Brian Smith and Braxton DeWeese come into the quad oval while the checkered flag waves over Ryan Patty, and it's going to be Braxton DeWeese finishing second and Brian Smith in third. Jeff Hollingsworth and Patrick Colby round out your top 5. Charles Woods, Cody Eldred, Paul Crumry, and Hanover Fist round out your top 9. They are your lead lap cars. Adam Ball finishes in 10th, and he would be the last one running. But Ryan Patty wins here in the Icon Holiday Mixer finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And Dave, checking the timing, that was 8 1/1000ths between Braxton DeWeese and Brian Smith.
8 1/1000ths, he says. Well, here we are. Ryan Patty celebrates on the front stretch. He wants to burn it down before we turn the calendar for the next year. I'm hoping Icon decides to stick with us. I've had a lot of fun watching these races over the last few weeks.
I've only been on these races for 2 weeks, but they have been great races.
Just need Brian Smith to come out of his ivory tower and up into the waiting room. Let's get a hold of our race winner, Ryan Patty. Hey, Ryan, it's Dave Regal up in the broadcast booth. You get a copy, brother.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I do.
Buddy, listen, if you're going to win one, at least win the finale. You know what I mean?
I feel the same way, man. I know you guys weren't with us for a regular season, but that's 3 for 3 at Atlanta this year for me. I won at the old track mid-year and then at the new track late in the season. And taking home a third one here, so it feels pretty good. Feeling quite at home here at Atlanta.
Well, tell your friends and family that you want us here for the regular season and not just the off season, my man. I mean, listen, we've watched you guys all year, all off season long here for the Holiday Mixer Series, and you managed to put on a heck of a show. How do you, come across the checkered line tonight? And, I mean, nothing wrong with the car. You start way back in 10th position, and you're literally one of the 2 biggest movers on the racetrack tonight. How do you do that in a fixed setup?
Yeah, I think, well, anyone will tell you that Atlanta, as well as some other tracks, right, really, really tough on tires. So it's just a matter of having a really smooth throttle input, not too much wheel, and not being too aggressive getting back to it. You could tell, right, probably end of the first and the second run, some of the guys were being a little aggressive early, started to fade at the end of the run, and that's where I was starting to make up positions. But really, I mean, I probably wouldn't have had the win if it weren't for maybe a little misfortune for some other guys and maybe a little pit strategy there. So, some of these races, things tend to fall your way, and luckily, I had enough go right tonight to take the checker.
Without a doubt. Well, listen, man, congratulations on the win. I think that you did a fantastic job. We didn't talk about you enough, at least in my opinion, because you managed to just kind of sneak up here and steal one away from the big names. But listen, before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helped you get it done tonight on the 30 team?
Yeah, and hey, one thing too, I saw you you put that post up, or the poll, who would win, Deweese, Hollingsworth, or anyone else. I took that a little personal. I was like, maybe I can get my name in there and pull it off. But yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming out and doing this broadcast for this mini series in December. Really helped to add a little credibility here in some of our slow season, and we're looking forward to figuring something out for 2025. And obviously, thanks to my wife for letting me do this, and my teammates over at CCR ECR for helping me out, sharing strategies, and working together all race.
Always make sure that you give a tip of the cap to the wife, because behind every great sim racer and every great admin is a woman with her arms crossed across her chest, shaking her head. Listen, man, appreciate you. We appreciate everything that you guys do, and hopefully we get a chance to see you guys in 2025. Congrats, man.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you. And that, of course, the voice of our race winner, Ryan Patty. And right now, I think you have with you on pit road, Colin, I think you've got Braxton Deweese with you.
Braxton Deweese is calling the broadcast booth. Do you have a copy?
I got you.
Hey man, can you take us through those closing laps and give us a rundown on what went on and how you managed to pull through for a second place finish tonight?
Yeah, clean air was definitely a huge deal. If you could get out there and try to keep it out there, and the draft was a pretty big deal too. So I felt like I got out a little bit after the restart and didn't really have to do much. Could just ride my own line, do what I wanted to do, and just try to save my tires. But after a little bit, they'd get the draft and come up a little bit, so you kind of have to use the air and use the eye line. Honestly, not even really use air, just use the eye line, because once you're using the eye line, it can really get a run on the bottom if you ran it correctly and still had tires. So just trying to do that, and was trying to keep it out front. We fortunately got hit a couple times, banged around a couple times, lost a couple spots, went to third in the last stage before we pitted. And it feels like once you get to like lap 20, 25, 30, everybody's just riding the top, and it's a train on the top, and you can't really do much, which is a little unfortunate, but it is what it is. So it makes you try to get the clean air a little bit quicker, and obviously not burn off your tires in the process. But all in all, we had a good race, and just wish we could have been one spot better to get to 50 wins on the year for myself personally and all the leagues and events that I've done. So we're at 49. We're one away. We only got a couple days, and this was the last planned race as of now. So second's better than third, but man, I really wanted to get first.
Yeah, well, from watching you on track, you had some phenomenal saves, and I think you did a great job keeping it clean, keeping it green, and getting on the podium. So is there anybody you have to thank for getting you here tonight?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for them kind words. Definitely try to keep it, clean, and try to, race as hard as we can and put on a show. But big shout out to Interstate Ford, Allen's Arts Images, 3 Dips Ice Cream Shop, Bennett's Publical, Jane's on Main, Deweese Renovations, Owner Road Cinematography, Booth 34 Diecast, Short Track Report, Blaze Designs, as well as Evan Pineda Designs, and Bully Dog Coffee Company. You can use Brax 5 for 10% off over there. So looking forward to go back watching the race and from the broadcast point of view, and should be a pretty damn good one. So appreciate y'all for broadcasting. Hopefully everybody has a happy new year, and hopefully we see y'all soon.
Thanks, Braxton. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
That the voice of Braxton Deweese, and last but certainly not least on our podium tonight is Brian Smith, driver the number 78. Hey, Brian, it's Dave up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Dave. Yeah, I got you.
Buddy, listen, great finish tonight. I thought you were going to really try to pull one out here for the win, but, you qualify in the top 5. You finish on the podium. What was it like down there at Old Atlanta in the next-gen car tonight?
It was really tight. Most of the time when I run here, the strategy is to wrap the bottom and keep the right rear on it, and then, move up to the wall gradually as the run goes on. But that was just not the play here. I think it was just so tight that I think the play was to just run the wall from the get-go. And it took me a while to figure that out. That whole first stage was just riding around in a bunch of people's dirty air. So I did get out front, had a bit of a slip-up on the start of that final stage, and that cost me big time because I put that second-to-last set of tires on it and kind of put me in a box to run long on that final pit stop. And that's ultimately what cost me the win tonight. But Patty executed the strategy perfectly, and he did a good job, so good win.
Yeah, sometimes execution is half the battle on the racetrack, and I mean, everybody. We were talking about it during the broadcast itself. That there's so much that you as a sim racer have to do that normal drivers don't have to do in the real world. You've got to be calculating fuel distance. You've got to think about your tire wear. Do you want 2? Do you want 4? Do you want a full tank of fuel? Do you want a partial tank of fuel? What do you need to get to the end? Blah blah blah. You know the list. Sometimes I think sim racing makes it so hard on the drivers themselves that you should get a tip of the cap just for being able to get to the end without having the wheels fall off the car, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Strategy is such a big part of it, especially when you get to the 1.5 mile tracks like this where you really have to consider track position in dirty air. I was obviously running faster lap times at the end of them, Braxton and Ryan, but as soon as I got in that dirty air, it kind of leveled off. And, again, it's just strategy. I didn't get a ton of prep in for this, so didn't know exactly what to expect, but it was still a fun night. Could be wrong. I think this wrapped up the championship for me, so got a nice championship out of the winter mixer or whatever we're calling this. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great tracks, so hats off to the guys who set this up, and I had a blast.
Yeah, this should give you the championship trophy, so congratulations on that. And, the Holiday Mixer Series was great here on Sim Racing Media. We had such a blast. And, I know that I missed a couple due to, family stuff with the holidays and whatnot, but I was glad to be here for the last few. And, of course, I look forward to hopefully seeing you guys more in 2025. But before we turn the calendar, we need to know who you need to thank and who helped you get it done on the 78 team tonight.
I want to thank the guys I run with. I usually race with Cody and Jacob on here on Sundays, at least this holiday series, and those guys were fun to race with. Hats off to everyone who participated. I mean, I can't think of, one time where I saw something crazy, ridiculous happen, and it was just a lot of clean racing and great track selection. So like I said, thanks to the guys that set this up and chose the track car combos. They pretty much could not have been more fun than the ones they selected. So thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast, and hopefully we're talking to you guys again later next year.
All right, brother, congrats one more time, and we will see you hopefully next year. Go ahead and enjoy the new year. Happy New Year, my friend.
Awesome. You guys too. Thank you.
That, of course, the voice of Brian Smith, your off-season champion, and, of course, tonight's third-place finisher. Colin, what a night we've had.
It has been a lot of excitement, Dave.
A lot of excitement indeed. Folks, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and making Sim Racing Media part of your evening over the last several weeks here in the Icon Holiday Mixer Series. Of course, we look forward to hopefully seeing all of you in the new year, which is just a couple of short days away. Folks, make sure that you spend time with your loved ones this holiday season. And, of course, we want to thank all of you for making us a part of your family, for welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.